Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing in on Leon Howard, the Wall Street trapper, and his YouTube video, The Armor of Wealth.
Yeah, his mission seems really clear, doesn't it? Empowering urban America, improving their financial situation. It's pretty compelling stuff.
Totally. And what grabbed me is his idea that mastering, how we relate to money. That's the key, not just for us, but like for generations.
Exactly. It's foundational. He talks about this idea of wealth being armor.
Right. The armor, like protection against poverty, against just lack.
He frames it almost like a financial revolution, like pushing back against a system he feels wasn't built for everyone.
Okay, so this armor concept, let's dig into that. What are the main pieces he lays out?
Well, a really big one, kind of woven through everything,
Mhm.
is this link he makes between faith and finance.
Ah, yeah, he brings up Deuteronomy 8.18.
Right. God gives you the ability to produce wealth. But his take is interesting. It's not just, a gift you sit on. It's like a God-given capacity you got to sharpen through information, through learning, consistently.
And he makes that point, doesn't he, that basically no religious text actually says be poor. It's more about being smart with what you have, stewardship.
Precisely. And then, boom, he connects that straight to something really practical, relationships.
How so?
He basically says, look, other people know things you don't. Building wealth isn't something you do alone in a vacuum. You need connections. You need that shared knowledge.
Makes sense. You learn from others. Okay, but then he gets into something that, well, makes people nervous. Risk.
Yeah, the cost of growth, as he puts it. He lays out these levels. Want to make $100 K, got to be willing to potentially lose 10K.
$1 million means risking 100K, 10 million means risking a million. And he's lived it, right? The wins and the losses.
He has. But the really crucial part for me wasn't just acknowledging the risk. It was his point about the residue of loss.
What does he mean by that? Residue.
It's like the trauma, the emotional hit from losing money. He argues it can literally anchor you in a poverty mindset.
Ah, so it's psychological. That fear holds you back.
Exactly. It's like that loss aversion thing behavioral economists talk about. Losing hurts more than winning feels good, so you get scared to try again.
That's powerful, preventing the past from messing up your future chances. And he uses another angle to show why understanding money is so important, looking at Jesus's teachings.
Yeah, that was pretty striking. He pointed out that something like, 14 to 16 of Jesus's parables out of maybe 39 total were about money.
Wow, that many.
His argument is basically you can't fully get the spiritual messages if you don't also understand the practical financial ones they're wrapped in. They're intertwined.
So it's not just like a worldly thing. It has deeper meaning. And then he pulls in Proverbs too.
Proverbs 10.4. Diligent hands build wealth. That's his call to, get active. It's not passive.
It connects understanding with doing. You got to put in the work.
You got it. Diligence is key.
Okay, so if diligence is key, what's the vehicle? He talks a lot about the stock market.
Oh, definitely. He's really enthusiastic about it. His main argument is how it kind of democratizes wealth building. Meaning anyone from any background can own a piece of these huge companies. You don't need millions to start your own Coca-Cola, but you can own a part of it. It opens up ownership.
And he really pushes back on some common financial ideas, doesn't he? Things we just kind of accept.
Oh, yeah. Like a dollar not moving is a dollar losing.
Which goes against just saving in a bank account, right?
Totally. Because of inflation, right?
Yeah.
Your saved dollar buys less over time. So if it's not growing, it's effectively shrinking in value.
Okay, that makes sense. And the other one, getting a big tax refund is bad. That sounds counterintuitive.
Well, his point is, if you get a huge refund, it means you overpaid your taxes all year long.
Ah, so you basically gave the government an interest-free loan.
Exactly. Money that could have been, invested or earning interest for you.
Okay, yeah, that reframes it. These are definitely things that make you think, which leads perfectly into his first piece of armor.
Financial literacy.
But he says people resist that term. Why is that?
He thinks maybe it forces people to admit what they don't know about money. It's easier to feel okay if you can pay bills.
But his definition is broader.
Much broader. It's not just paying bills on time. It's strategy. It's understanding investing, planning, the bigger picture.
And for him, a huge part of that strategy is stocks. He keeps coming back to it, calls it the easiest way to build wealth in America.
Yeah, and the logic ties back to ownership, right? Owning pieces of big, successful corporations without having to build them yourself from scratch.
He talks about companies going public, too. Can you break that down simply?
Sure. So imagine a big private company needs cash to grow. Or maybe the original owners want to cash out some of their stake. They decide to sell small pieces shares of the company to the public on the stock market.
So investors give them money.
And in return, those investors become part owners. It's a way for companies to raise capital besides, say, getting a big bank loan.
Got it. And he also brings up this idea of time, looking beyond just the next paycheck.
Yes, this is critical. He contrasts living check to check, which is just survival mode, with being rich, which he frames as thinking year to year.
Okay.
But then there's wealthy, and that's thinking generation to generation. It's about building something lasting. That long-term view is huge for him, especially thinking about urban America.
And that connects to where the really big money often is.
Right. He observes that most of the world's wealthiest people, a huge chunk of their net worth is tied up in publicly traded companies, shares.
Which links back to what you explained about going public.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Now, does he have preferences for which companies to invest in?
He does. He mentions liking companies still run by their founders.
Why is that?
His thinking is they have serious skin in the game. Their own fortune is tied directly to the company's success. Plus, they often take more compensation in stock than huge cash salaries.
So their interests are aligned with the shareholders.
Pretty much, yeah. That's the idea.
He also tries to clear up something we see in the news all the time. Billionaires losing or gaining billions overnight.
Oh, yeah, those headlines. He points out that usually that's not cash disappearing or appearing. It's the value of their stock holdings going up or down.
So it's paper value fluctuating?
Mostly, yes. It helps kind of demystify that crazy volatility you read about.
Okay, good point. Then he gets practical again. How much should people actually invest?
His rule of thumb is consistent. Try to set aside 10 to 15% of every payment you get, every paycheck, every side hustle payment, whatever, put it towards investing.
Consistency is key.
Absolutely. It's about building the habit.
And he talks about the danger of not having that cushion, living right on the edge.
Yeah, the paycheck to paycheck life is precarious, right? There's just no room for error. One unexpected bill can throw everything off. No space for growth either.
Which leads to his analogy about money being a servant or a master.
That's a powerful one. Money is a faithful servant, but a wicked master. Meaning, if you control it, if you're disciplined, it works for you.
But if it controls you?
It can lead you down a bad path. It dictates your choices, creates stress, it becomes the master.
He uses the parable of the talents here too, right?
His focus is sharp. The servant who just buried the talent, he gets called wicked and slothful. Why? Not even for losing it, but for not even putting it in the bank to earn some interest.
So the master's expectation was for the money to be active.
Exactly. Put it to work. Don't just hide it away. That's lazy or slothful.
That's a really interesting financial take on that story. Now, another key point he makes isn't just how much you invest, but the rate of return.
Yes. This is huge. He stresses that a smaller amount invested, if it gets a really high percentage return, can actually do better than a much larger amount getting a low return.
So the percentage gain matters more than the initial dollar amount sometimes?
In terms of efficiency, yeah. He even shares a personal story, like getting a big return on a $400,000 investment to show how powerful that rate can be.
And he's pretty open about his own journey, the wins and the losses. Why do that?
I think it's about setting realistic expectations. Investing isn't magic. You don't win every single time.
Right.
Success is about winning more often and hopefully bigger than you lose, not about never losing. He wants people to understand that reality.
Which ties into his warnings, the red flags.
Exactly. Be super wary of anyone promising guaranteed wins, no losses, easy money super fast. It's usually not how it works. Could even be a scam.
Good advice. So when you boil it all down, what's the main goal here for Leon Howard, especially reaching out to urban America?
I think fundamentally he wants to trigger a mindset shift. A big one. He wants listeners to, rethink their whole financial position, see the potential they have, and start breaking down those limiting beliefs that might be holding them back. It's about empowerment, building a foundation for a better future for individuals and the community.
It really does all come back to that armor of wealth idea. Getting the knowledge, understanding risk, using tools like the stock market.
And shifting from just getting by, that poverty mindset, to actively building wealth. And man, he leaves you with a heavy question at the end.
Yeah, that one hits hard. When you leave, will you have been the asset or the liability to your family?
Has my bloodline gotten better since I've been here, or have I taken away from it?
Oof, that's a call to think about legacy, isn't it? The generational impact.
Definitely. So for everyone listening, thinking about Howard's ideas, maybe the question is, how do you start building your own armor of wealth?
right? What's like the very first step you can take? Maybe it's just learning one new thing, opening that investment account, making that first small, consistent contribution. It's about starting that journey, putting on that first piece of armor.